Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be being unfaithful and encouraging infidelity. So over the last month or two, I've gotten quite a few phone sessions from guys that have gotten involved with either married women or women that are taken or involved with other guys, and they're cheating on their husband or their boyfriend, and these guys are encouraging it, thinking that they're going to be Mr. White Knight, come in and save the day and rescue these women from their bad choices or their unhappy relationship or their unhappy life. And I think just because they're a good person, that a low integrity person who they're trying to date and have a relationship with will become a high integrity person if they're able to successfully rip off the other guy's girl. So I've got an email here from a dude who was out. He was on a night out with a buddy of his, saw a couple girls sitting at a bar, or they were at a bar, and so they were sitting at a table which he said was like really small, and they got a really big table. And one of the things that they do when they go out is they always get a table that's bigger than they need, so they can invite girls over to join them for drinks or to just come and hang out. And so he walked over, talked to these girls for a few minutes, invited them over to his table, and then he walked back over to the table, and about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes later, they came over and started talking. And then eventually when the bar closed, they all went back to his place, and one of them was showing a lot of interest in him. And as they got to know each other, it turns out that she's a lesbian, likes guys, she's bisexual, in other words. She likes guys and she likes girls, and she presently has a girlfriend. And that didn't stop him, and because she was kind of coming on to him and touching him and communicating that there was some interest there. And then she got a phone call, and then everything seemed to change after that. And then it never went anywhere, and he's thinking, hey, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Why didn't I get this girl? She was showing me signs of interest. So a big part of this is like this guy's totally acting out of integrity, and it's just not clicking with him that this is not a good idea. So I thought it was a good email to go through, because he did do some really good things with going over and talking to these girls and then inviting them over. It's just that once he found out she was taken, it didn't stop him, because he wanted what he wanted. So I got a quote that I wrote, and then we'll go through his email. And the quote says, "It's never a good idea to be disloyal to your lover or to encourage others who are in a relationship to cheat on their partner with you. The reality is that if they cheat on others with you, eventually they will also cheat on you. Too many people think they are saving good people from bad and unhappy relationships, when in reality they are encouraging weak, insecure, and low integrity people to act with a total lack of integrity. You attract how you act. If you hang out with and date people who lie and cheat without any remorse, eventually you will reap what you sow." I talk a lot about this, about your inner circle and who you have in your inner circle. And when you behave this way just because you really like somebody, you're encouraging somebody that has a lack of integrity to come and be a part of your life in your inner circle. And so whatever you observe in life, you're going to participate in. Whatever you tolerate, you invite more of. And so if you start inviting people into your life that have low integrity, that's always going to end poorly. And so luckily this things didn't turn out. This guy didn't end up hooking up with this girl. But he needs a lesson here, because if he keeps acting this way, eventually he's going to reap that karma. And this is not the kind of karma you want to encourage, because too many guys get involved with women that belong to the streets. And they think that they're saving these women, and in reality they're just getting involved with somebody who's got low integrity, and they think because their motives are good or good-hearted and they just want to love somebody that they like, and that their love will fix all the things that are wrong with this person. It's totally delusional, and way too many people do it. Especially, I don't know what it is, the last couple months I've had a lot of guys that are involved with people who are cheating, and it's like, I have a hard time getting through to them sometimes, that their behavior is out of line and inappropriate, and just pointing out that there's no way these people are going to be faithful to them, especially when they're bouncing back and forth between their boyfriend or their husband that they're in the process of divorcing. It's just a bad way to go. Because if your goal as a man, and one of the things I always focus with these guys on, is in a relationship, your goal is similar to your purpose and your mission and your professional life. So you're going to have a goal, a purpose in your personal life as well. And if your goal is to have a healthy long-term relationship with somebody that's going to be loyal and faithful, it's just not going to happen with somebody that has a history of cheating or somebody that you're able to successfully rip off from another guy. Because I do these phone sessions more often than I'd like to, but there's a lot of people that do this because you see it in movies that encourage this low integrity behavior. Because in the movies, it always works out and they live happily ever after, and the guy saved the girl from the horrible husband or the abusive boyfriend or whatever it happens to be. And he basically is marrying or trying to wife up and improve a chick that belongs to the streets, who's more of a casual hookup, friends with benefits, or a sex playmate or a fuck buddy type of relationship. So with that said, let's go through his email. He says, "Hi Coach, my name is Bob and I live in Sweden, and yes indeed the rumors are true. The women here are beautiful, and if you know the right place to go, you will feel like you accidentally entered a beauty contest. I hope this letter isn't too long, but I tried to keep it short as possible. I've read your book 3 times so far, and I feel like I'm getting there, but there's still moments where I feel clueless. I will tell the tale of such a time from just last week." Goody. "I was out with a buddy drinking some beers at a local bar and music club, and suddenly I catch a beautiful girl giving me the hungry eyes. Well, we call it fuck me eyes in the States. Let's call her Sally. I wasn't quite sure of Sally's interest in me, but I wanted to take a shot at it. So I walked over to the girl's table." So I talked a lot about this early on in 3% Man, my first book, and also the video I did years ago called Improving Your Social Skills. And when a woman looks you in the eyes and smiles, that's typically an invitation that she's interested and she likes you. But it doesn't mean that she's got high integrity. It just means that she likes what she sees. Because sometimes you'll see women checking you out and staring at you, and you'll go talk to them, and then you'll find out that they're married or they're taken. And that should be the end of it. But too many guys, they're not fazed by that. And they just keep trying to run game on these girls. And then sometimes they're successful, but it always ends badly in the end, and they get cheated on in the same way that they encourage that person to cheat on their present lover with them. So he says, "I walked over to the girl's table where she sat with her 2 friends. The table was simply too small for them, so I said, 'Hey girls, I just want to let you know that if you feel that your table is too crowded, you are welcome to come to our table over there.' Me and my friend had a big table just for ourselves, and I always try to get a big table, even if we're just 2 people, for this very reason." Well, strategically, that's actually pretty clever. And I agree. If you're the king and you show up, because like back in the day when I used to do things like that, when I used to go to bars and clubs with friends that drank and talk to girls, back in the, when I was in my 20s and my 30s, early 30s, when I used to do these things, we would do that a lot. We get a real big table and you have extra space because there's always, maybe you run into somebody, maybe there's a group of girls and they're out with their friends, and then you come invite them over. Good things always happen when you have beautiful women around. Initially, the girls didn't come over, and my friends started to despair, but I knew the patience game is the name of the game. I will admit, after a few minutes, I started to doubt myself, but soon enough, the girls came over to our table. We had a great time, and Sally and I were exchanging looks every so often. I love the way that the focused attention of a beautiful girl makes me feel. It's always going to be good for your ego, but just because you can does not mean that you should. Anyway, soon enough, the bars closed at 8 p.m. due to COVID, and I asked the girls what they are doing next. They had nowhere to go, so I, of course, suggested we go back to my place nearby where I had a stocked bar. It's pretty smart. I'd also talk about this in 3% Man, about having maybe a little fridge with some snacks and some drinks in there, because you never know. You never know when you might have an unexpected visitor. Once at my place, we kept drinking and talking, and we played the game Never Have I Ever, and I learned a lot. Sally's apparently a lesbian and has a girlfriend. So right there, you should be like, hey, she's taken. And at that point, that's when you realize, you should realize, I should say, that you invited, this girl showed interest in him, and then now he comes to find out she's actually in a relationship with somebody. But he's like, that's just a little speed bump. No big deal. Not only that, but she was by far had the most sexual stories to tell. Obviously, she's very promiscuous. So she was boasting of her sexual encounters with both men and women, and I also learned that she had worked as a model. Sally is 20 years old, and her friends were of similar age. My friend is around 23, so I'm the old guy at 30. Now here's where the problem occurred. All of a sudden, in the middle of us singing karaoke, Sally stands up, goes all the way around the room, and has to jump up on the couch to get past my friend to sit right next to me. She presses her body tightly against mine and starts to touch and grab all over me. Obviously she's interested, but she supposedly has a girlfriend. I'm keeping it cool since I was in charge of playing the karaoke songs and had a keyboard in my lap. Also, I was hosting, so I had to make sure that the girls' glasses were filled up and that my friend was feeling comfortable. He can get a little anxious sometimes. Well, your guy friend needs to get that shit in check. Because you don't want somebody cock-blocking you who loses emotional self-control or acts like a beta male. And it's important if you're trying to apply to things that are in 3% man and you go out with dudes that have no game, it doesn't matter what you do. You got one guy that comes over and you can say one or two sentences and then the girls just leave because he's an idiot. So you got to think about that. And then you're going to have guys in your peer group, because I know I did when I was younger, when I started to learn this stuff, that they would just always end up cock-blocking you when they came around. So you just stopped hanging out with those people. He says, I put my arm around the girl and enjoyed the attention. And I'll admit, I did feel a little bit overwhelmed by this sudden escalation of contact. She was so aggressive. I mean, she kept looking at me during karaoke while singing and rubbing her foot on mine. So she's playing footsie under the table. But she's taken. She has a girlfriend. She would touch her head to mine and try to hold my hands and guide them to I don't know where. She would even rest her elbow on my crotch every opportunity she got. Strategic elbow placement. It's as if she wanted me to make out right then and there. But I figured that that wouldn't be inappropriate because I was hosting and had responsibilities. Well, quite frankly, let's pretend that she didn't have a girlfriend and she was single. When a girl's touching you like that, that means that's the invitation. That's the, do you know what you're doing, dude? Make a move. That's what she's probing you for. So when a woman's being that close, just start making out. And then maybe you're like, hey, well, we're going to go into my bedroom over here. I'm going to show her my specialty soap collection. I'm a fan of the soap on the rope type of soaps. I'm just making that up, but partly because I felt like her friends were worried about the fact that she was about to cheat on her girlfriend. She admitted earlier in the game that never have I ever that she had cheated before, though. Yeah, right. And so here's why she says that, because if she does cheat, well, it's all your fault, because I said, I've never cheated. Well, it's like, if you hadn't kissed me, we wouldn't have slept together. And she can absolve herself from any personal responsibility. See how that works? And finally, because I felt that it would be awkward for us to make out right then and there in the middle of it all, I wouldn't find that awkward at all. But then again, I wouldn't be trying to make out with a girl who had a girlfriend. But that's beside the point. Just assume that she was single, then yeah, you go for it. When she's that close to you, fuck yeah. That's the signs that she's ready to get frisky. I mean, we're a small group, only 5 people total. Oh, heaven forbid your friends see you kissing a pretty girl. That's just such a horrible thing that nobody could deal with that. All of a sudden, Sally gets a phone call from guess who? Yep, it's her girlfriend. Probably because her girlfriend knows on some level that she's dating or in a relationship with a liar and a cheater, and she's checking up on her. They had this dramatic phone call, and she's pacing all over the apartment. Oh yeah, there was drama going on. Probably because she was supposed to be home. Oh, I'm only going out for a drink or two. And obviously her girlfriend doesn't trust her for good reason. The call ends and the girl comes back to me. I can't recall if her behavior changed due to the phone call because I had some beers, but I feel that it was not the call that changed her behavior. Soon enough, she seemed quite disinterested in me, and when I asked her for her Snapchat, she said she doesn't have Snapchat. This is possible, but unlikely. I felt it was more of a different way of saying no. Later, when the girls were about to leave, I was asking for her Facebook, and again, she said that it's better if I get the Facebook from one of her friends, since her Facebook works such that only mutual friends can add her. So why are you asking for social media? You should be asking for a number, but then again, you shouldn't be asking this girl for anything. But the other thing is, if this had been a single girl, you wanting to approach her on social media is just weakness. It just shows that you don't have the confidence. And this girl was touching you on all those sexual ways, and you didn't do anything. And instead of confidently asking for the phone number, you're asking for her social media because you are basically giving the vibe off that you want to treat her like a celebrity and be one of her fans. But this still doesn't stop her from adding me, so I felt it was like another no. And when the girls, and it was another no. When the girls left, I got a very nice long hugs from both friends and just a half-hearted one from her. At that time, I imagined that she acted like that because she got a call from the girlfriend, made her feel guilty, but looking back, I don't think that was much of a factor. Do you see how delusional this guy is? Perhaps it's me not reciprocating to her contact with the same intensity. It's because of the girlfriend. She was there ready to cheat and fuck you. That's what was really going on. She was ready to cheat on her girlfriend, but because you weren't making a move when the signs were there, and instead of an easy, no strings attached hookup, now she's realizing she's got a guy that's thinking he's going to turn her into his girlfriend. She bounced. But at the end of the day, the girlfriend was definitely a factor. Because it's obviously not the first time this has happened with her, because she's a feral human and has no integrity. I mean, this girl is probably not used to guys not throwing themselves over her at any mere opportunity. Well, obviously there were other guys in the past that when she touched them that way, they knew what that meant and they took advantage of it. I sent Sally a friend request on Facebook the next day, and upon not being accepted for 3 days, I wrote one of her friends to tell Sally that I've been thinking about her and I'd like to talk to her since I feel that she might be mad at me because of a miscommunication. And now you're turning into a total nice guy. I'm sorry, Your Highness. Will you please like me? Will you please accept my friend request? Help me, coach. I feel like I played a perfect game that night, but then I tripped right at the finish line. Well, I pointed out the mistakes. I'm not going to go back through them. But you can tell this guy, he's so focused on his interest in what he wants, he's not reading the room or paying attention to the situation. So that's a bad way to go. I mean, at the end of the day, when somebody tells you they're taken, that should be the end of the story, even if they want to give you the number. Because if they'll do that to their current boyfriend or spouse, eventually, when they're not happy with you, they'll do the same thing to you. And if you don't believe me, you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And so if you haven't read my new book, Quotes, Ruminations, and Contemplations, it's available now at audible.com, also iTunes, the hardcover, paperback, all available on Amazon. Obviously, got Mastering Yourself you can get. You can read the digital version for free at understandingrelationships.com. Just subscribe to the email newsletter. Obviously, 3% Man, the man's Bible of how to be a man, you can also read for free. And if you'd like to talk to me and get some help with a personal or a professional challenge you're having, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.